Well, it seems both major parties are gunning for international students, albeit to a different degree. Joining me live is Chief Executive of the Group of 8 Universities, Vicki Thompson. Thanks for your time. Look, on the Labor side, they're talking about a soft cap on the coalition, a hard cap on the international students, but it seems one way or another, they're coming for international students. What's your reaction to that?
Well, it seems it's a race to the bottom, whichever way you look at it, and at risk is, Australia's largest services export sector, the international education sector, and we risk blowing that into oblivion if we don't think very carefully, both sides of politics, about what you're actually doing in terms of our future growth and our market growth in international education. So we're very concerned by, I think I spoke to you last week, Tom, about the budget announcement around caps from the federal government. We're very happy to have that discussion with the federal government, although there's not a lot of detail behind what that actually is in terms of managed growth. And then, of course, the opposition has come out very recently in their budget in reply, and David Littleproud talking about gunning for the Group of 8 in particular. That has us really worried. And so we're looking forward to actually having a conversation with the opposition about some of the details behind that policy.
So that's what you'll seek to do, talk to them, explain, I guess, the size of your industry, as you say, the value to Australia. But on the flip side, can you get ahead of it as well and maybe really think hard about what you can do to increase accommodation beyond what you're doing already?
So this is the bit that I think we struggle with. So what is the problem we're trying to solve here? Is it the housing crisis? Is it the rental affordability? Is it the regions and developing skills in the regions, or is it all of the above? And is the one single lever to somehow put a brake on international education? So in terms of the housing affordability issue, we are talking to government, and the government has made it very clear to us that we need to have skin in the game. We do have skin in the game at the Group of 8 universities. We have large residential colleges. We have large arrangements with private providers, etc. Can we do more? We can always do more. So that's a discussion that we are open to having. Right. But we also need to understand what's wrapped around the legislation they've introduced. The opposition hasn't provided any detail of is it a cap? Is it redirecting students? We don't know what that is. And so I think we need to have a careful discussion because our international education sector... So you sought that?
Have you reached out already to the opposition? Peter Dutton or someone else? Are you
in the
actively
process of
seeking
reaching out
a conversation?
to see Peter Dutton, exactly. Yes, absolutely. Because we think we've got a good story to tell in terms of the economic value of our international education sector. This is not just a sector which benefits universities, and I think that's an important point to make. 69% of our tourism is on the back of international education, for example. So you don't want to put those things at risk by a blunt policy instrument.
And when you talk about Labor's, you say even after the budget, you're not all that clear on what they're going to do because it's a so-called soft cap. They go beyond a certain level, and beyond that, they need to provide more housing. So that's the principle, but you don't know how it'll work or what the numbers are, essentially?
That's the principle, but what's the baseline? What numbers are we looking at? Are we looking at 2019 numbers, 2023 numbers? Are there exclusions? We do know, for example, that PhD students will be exempt from that particular cohort, so that's a good outcome. But we are now in discussion with the federal government about exactly what that detail is.
Right. Lots of discussion to have. I'm just interested as well. So the 2022-23 year saw a massive number of temporary migrants, including students, come in. Are we going to see the year 3 years after that, so to be 25-26, actually their contribution to net migration will be a downwards one because graduates at that point, at least a large number of them go home and you won't have the same number coming into the system. So is that something that maybe when you explain that detail, that particular year and what international students will do on net migration will actually be a downward pressure on it?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, there was a huge increase after COVID. You would expect that, a lot of pent-up demand. And we're already seeing visa applications starting to level off now. Now, that could be some of the signalling which is going out into the market. but you would anticipate that will level off and continue to level off. So in many ways, this is a market and the market will drive itself. We're not opposed to having a discussion with the federal government or the opposition on what the number of international students should be in Australia. But what we are struggling with is just a blunt instrument in terms of putting caps on with no sort of detail sitting behind either of the policies.
Sounds like you'll be working the phones. We'll let you get away and see you can get on to Vicki Thomson. Appreciate your time today. Thank you.